Hello there, welcome. My name's Estelle Mann and one of my many hobbies is cake decorating and sugarcraft. Now, a few years ago I did the British Sugarcraft Guild's demonstrator training programme, and now I spend a lot of my free time travelling around the country demonstrating for different groups. This evening or this afternoon, this morning, whatever time you're watching this, I'm going to demonstrate how to make some very simple roses to show you how easy it is that you can decorate a cake without spending a lot of money on any fancy equipment. Obviously there is a lot of cake decorating equipment out there and you can spend a lot of money on it should you wish to, and should you wish to take it further. But there's no need to get some pleasure out of cake decorating. You can simply use your hands and a plastic bag, or in this case a plastic pocket, to make some sugar paste roses without any need of any fancy tools. Now I'm just going to use some sugar paste from the supermarket. It's I tend to buy it in white and then colour it as I need it. So what I would do in this instance is buy a kilo of sugar paste, cover the cake, and I've covered a cake here, and what's left I've then used some paste colours to colour it up, and I've coloured some pink. So this is flamingo pink, and I've used this sugar flare paste gel to colour that. And these go on and on forever. A lot of shops do them. If you buy a few, like 5, you get a special price, etc. So if I was you, I'd buy the prime colours, like a red, a blue, a yellow, and then you can make all the different other colours of the spectrum up. And then I've coloured some green for some leaves, and for that I've just used spring green. Again, Sugar Flare's spring green. What I would warn against is using the liquid food colourings that you get in some supermarkets. What you want is a paste, a powder, or a concentrated food colouring for colouring sugar paste. There are powders as well which you can use. Now they're normally different types of colouring for different mediums, but we're really lucky with sugar paste in the fact that it will take any. Now you can get sugar paste from all the supermarkets, Asda, Sainsbury's, they all sell sugar paste, starting from about £1.70 up to about £3. There's lots of different brands and proprietary names as well, like Tesco's, for instance, call it fondant. It's not fondant. Some shops call it ready roll icing. I did hear somebody in Hobbycraft being told they don't sell sugar paste, they only sell Renshaw. Well, Renshaw is a brand of sugar paste, so they do sell sugar paste. They just didn't realise that Renshaw was sugar paste, the shop assistant. So you can get it in lots of places. There's nothing more frustrating than seeing something and wanting to have a go and then not being able to find it. I know that myself, so I only ever use things that people can get locally and can find. Okay, so let's get started. So you want to take your sugar paste. What I'm going to do is angle the camera down so you can see a bit more of what I'm doing. So give me a second. Just going to reach forward and angle you down a little bit. Hopefully that's a bit better. You can actually see my workbench now. So I've got a work table here, but this could just be as easy be your kitchen table. Just going to knead the paste so it's nice and soft. Got a little bit of icing sugar on my work table here. And then I'm going to just shape it into a cone. Now one of the sugar crafters that I used to know, she's put her hands together like this and it automatically makes a V. So if you rock your hands back together, backwards and forwards, you'll make a cone and it'll become a V. You can twiddle it a bit, and you want a nice fine point, because that point there is going to be the centre of your rose. You're going to just go and shape it down like that. And then I'm going to take a ball of sugar paste. Now the hardest thing about this is counting to 5, and believe me, that's how easy it is. Now if you find you've got hot hands and the paste is sticking to you, you can use a little bit of corn flour. I've got some in a little bag here. It could just be a little muslin square, or in a little, I used to use nappy liners, to be honest. Pop some in a nappy liner and then tie it with an elastic band or something at the top and just dust it on your hands. You don't get too much, just enough to stop it being sticky. Just pop the ball in a plastic bag, and then using this part of your hand, which is nice and soft, you go in the centre of the ball and push away from you. Now what's important is that this top bit here is going to be the top of the petal. So the thin part, where you're pushing away and thinning it down, that needs to be nice and smooth and thin. Pick it up by the fat bit, so it's nice and wobbly, and wrap it around the cone. And just squeeze it together at the base. Don't squeeze it together at the top, leave that nice and loose. And it looks a bit like a grandma's bonnet. There we go. I'll just pop it down. And then the next thing we're going to do is going to take 2 balls. So again, roll it in your hand till it's nice and smooth. So you've got 2 balls, doesn't matter what size they are, we're going to chop off the excess. Pop them in your plastic pocket. And then again, using this part of your hand, push it from the centre away from you. Push it from the centre away from you, so it's nice and smooth. Open up the plastic pocket or the plastic bag. You don't need to put anything in the pocket. There's no grease or corn flour or anything inside the pocket. The icing won't stick to it. Take the fat bit to the bottom and wrap it, put it over where the join is of the one that you've put on before. And then taking the one the other side, put that behind it. So you've got them sandwiched either side. Oops. You've got them sandwiched either side of your cone. I wouldn't normally pick it up. Stick them on at the bottom, and then you want to tuck one side under the other. So this side, for instance, I'm going to open it up and tuck that side under that one, and then this side I'm going to tuck that one under that one. Always make it think like you're walking along and you're putting your arm around somebody to give them a cuddle. So you're putting one under the other, and then with your fingers just stroke back the top petal, and if you want to, you can give it a little pinch between your finger and your thumb just to give the petals a little bit of a point. Now if you read some older Sugarcraft books, they will tell you to take a cocktail stick and put it underneath the edge of the petal and roll it down. But quite honestly, life's too short. I don't bother with that. Okay, so we have a bud already. You can see it's quite effective as a little bud. Then we're going to take 3 balls of paste this time. Exactly the same thing. So I'm going to pinch off 3 bits of paste. 1, 2, 3. Roll them into a ball. Roll them into a ball. So it doesn't matter if they're not exactly the same size. Roll them into a ball. And then pop them in your plastic pocket. Now if your plastic bag isn't big enough, you can do one at a time. If you've got a plastic bag that's big enough, you can do all 3 at once. I'm just going to again use this part of my hand in the centre of the ball and push away. Now if you can't use this part of your hand for some reason, I don't know if you've got arthritis or carpal tunnel syndrome or something, you can always use your thumb, just push it away and flatten that outer edge, or you can use your fingertip, whatever works for you. But you can get a nice lot of pressure on that part of your hand. What to be careful of is that you don't elongate the petals. You don't want long strips of sugar paste. Try and keep it circular if you can. And what's important, as I said, is that that top edge is quite fine, because that's going to be the petal on your rose. So now we've got 3, and what we want to do this time is put one over the join on one side. Now you've got 2 petals and only 2, so only 2 joins. You want to put 3 on. So we're going to put one on and tuck one side down. Take my next one and put it over the side that I've tucked down and bring it round. And then my third one, again I'm picking them up by the fat bit, is going to go over that one and come round and under the first one that I put on. Now it's important that you try and keep the petals level at the top. If they start to slide down, it will start to look like a cabbage. So try and keep them level if you can. And then again with your fingertip, just stroke those top petals back, and I tend to give them a little pinch in between my finger and my thumb, because I just think it gives them a nice little shape. Now you can stop this at any point that you want if you just want a bud, but we're going to go on to make a fully open rose. You can see that that's quite a nice little rose there now. So now what we want to do is again take this time we're going to take 5 balls. So you missed 4. 1, 3, 4 doesn't exist. We go on to 5. So 1, 2, 3, and then you jump to 5. So no 4. Again, we're going to make 5 little balls of paste. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's a bit big and that one's a bit small, so I'm going to pinch a bit off there and add it to that one. Okay, so I've got 5 balls of paste, and again they're going to go in my plastic pocket. Again, you don't need to put anything on the plastic pocket. There's no grease, there's no fat on it. no corn flour, no icing sugar, nothing inside there. And so you could use a plastic pocket, plastic bag, 2 bits of cling film, whatever you have to hand. Again, pop this part of my hand in the centre of the petal and elongate it away. You don't want a long strip, try and keep it as round as you can. And you're just flattening that top edge so that you get a nice thin petal edge at the top. I'll hold that up so you can see. So I've got 5 petals in there, and I've tried to keep them as round as possible. I haven't got long strips of paste, they're nice and round. And then take your finger if you want to as well, or your thumb, and just make sure that that top edge is nice and fine. And again, we're going to take them out of the pocket. You see, I'm not using any glue or water or anything to stick these with, because the paste is nice and soft. It'll just stick to itself. You don't need to use anything else. So I've now got 5 petals here and my rose. So I'm going to start by putting one of the petals over one of the joins. Doesn't matter which one, wherever you want to start. And then I'm just going to overlap each one coming around. Try and keep the top level again. Remember, as I said, if they do start to slide down, it'll start to look like a cabbage. So just come around the sides, overlapping each one as you go. And then when you get to the final one, this final one is going to go over this one and under the first one that I put on. So as it's involved in them, wrapped in them. And then I'm just going to squeeze the bottom to make sure that all of those petals are held on nice and tightly. And then just with my fingertip, just bend the tops of the petals back. And between my finger and my thumb, I'm just going to pinch the edges of each petal to give it a bit of shape. Okay, I'm going to hold that to the camera so you can see. Okay, so it's a lovely rose now, complete. And then because a rose has got that nice bulbous bit at the bottom, if you cup your hands underneath and just start bringing it in. I always think of this as being like she's getting a Victorian waist now. I'm doing her corset up, tightening it up so I bring her in so she's got a really narrow little waist in there now. And you can see how the rose is taking shape. It looks like a bowl now. So I'm going to take my knife, or you could use a little pair of scissors. I'm just going to chop it off. Okay, so that's our rose. So we've cut off all the excess and we can make another one. Now if it's wrong and if you don't like it, you can always just scrunch it up and do it again. Don't be afraid, it's only a bit of sugar paste. Once you've done it 4, 5, 6 times, the paste might start to look a bit tired, but you can do it several times without having to worry about it. Again, knead your paste as it's nice and soft. Shape it into a ball so you get rid of any nasty cracks, it's nice and smooth, and then shape it into a cone. You want a nice fine point at the top for the centre of the rose. And then we want to start off with a ball of paste for our first petal. I'm going to do this a bit quicker now because we've got 3 to make, so we need another 2. And I don't want you to get bored. So it's 1. Pop a petal around. And then we want 2 balls. 1, 2. Into balls. Now you could do this with marzipan. You could use chocolate paste. You could make your own paste. You could use it with Fimo. The same thing works. Clay. If you want to make clay roses, you can do the same technique. So sometimes if you're doing a cake at Easter, a simnel cake, you might decide that you want to put roses on the top to decorate, and you could do exactly the same. Use exactly the same method as this, but using marzipan. Again, with your fingertip, just stroke back those top petals. It's important to do that as you go along, because otherwise once they're finished you won't be able to get your fingers in there to actually get to the petals to shape them. So it's always a good idea to do it as you go along. Again, pop your sugar paste in your bag. So 2 bits of cling film would do. Plastic bag, sandwich bag, anything like that. One of these plastic pockets, plastic file, anything. The paste won't stick to it, nor will the marzipan or chocolate paste. Again, try and keep the top of the petals level. Overlap them as you go round. Squeeze them on at the bottom, not at the top, because you want to keep the top nice and loose. And then just with your fingertip, just bend the top back and give it a little pinch to give it a bit of shape. So we've done 3, and what do we do with 4? We miss number 4 and we go on to 5. So this time we want 5 balls of paste. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I need a bit more paste. 5. Now you can obviously spend a bit more time over yours than I'm doing here. I'm doing this quite quickly because I don't want you to get bored. You can make sure that you do it nicely, spend a bit of time on it. Pop your balls of paste inside your plastic pocket. This time I've got 5, which is good because a plastic pocket there's plenty of space. Incidentally, if the doorbell goes or the phone and you need to get it, you can actually leave your paste. Because it's sugar paste and not anything stronger, it will stay soft while it's inside the plastic pocket for you to come back and use. You can't leave it overnight or anything without wrapping it up and sealing it, but you would be able to leave it for a little while you went off and did something, got a cup of tea or answered the door. So again, pick them up by the fat bit. Pop them on the table in front of you. Bring your rows over and just starting at one of the joins, doesn't matter which one, you want to overlap one. And then overlapping that first petal that you've just put on, work your way round, overlapping as you go. You see I'm stretching the paste slightly. It has got some gum in it, so it will stretch. Try and keep the top level. And then when you come to where the first one, you go over the last one you've put on and under the first one you've put on. Give it a little bit of a squeeze to make sure that they're all on. So if they start to slide down, it will begin to look like a cabbage, so try and avoid that. And then work your way around, just bend the petals back, and I like to give them a little tweak so it just looks like a bit more of a rose. So it's quite straight now, cabbage straight. Cup your hands and bring it in underneath to give her a little waist. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut that off. You could use a pair of scissors. I've just got a little sharp knife. I'm going to do one more and then that's it. So again, take a paste, knead it again into a nice ball and shape a cone at the top. Then I want a single ball of paste. Now if you start running out of paste, you can always pinch a bit off the bottom of your cone because you're not going to be needing that. Take your plastic pocket and squash it away from you. Pick it up by the fat bit and wrap it around the cone so it's like a baby's bonnet. And then you want 2 balls, 1, 2. Again, make a ball of paste. Pop it in your plastic pocket. And using that part of your hand, push the paste away from you. Make sure that top edge is nice and fine because that's going to be the top of the petal. Pick it up by the fat bit. Overlap the join with the first one and put the second one behind it so that it's sandwiched between the two. Tuck under one side and overlap. On the other side it's alternate, so the one that's the top this side becomes the bottom that side and overlap. Make sure it's stuck on at the bottom and then with your fingertip just bend those top petals back. And then we want 3 balls. So 1, 2, 3. A bit more for that one. So this is Flamingo Pink, so it's a nice soft pink, but you could do lemon or whatever colour you fancy. Again, you can buy sugar paste in all different colours as well. So if you've got a lot to do, at Christmas I tend to buy red and green paste because you're going to use a lot of it. But the rest of the year I mostly buy white and then colour it as I need it, unless I'm covering a whole cake in a particular colour, and then I might buy that particular colour. Especially if it's a strong colour like red or black, a dark green, because it takes a lot of food colouring then. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to put too much food colouring in things when I'm making them. Right, again, so this first one goes on over one of the joins, and the next petal overlaps that first one, and then the third one overlaps that one and goes underneath the first one that went on. So that's 3 on. Squeeze it at the bottom to make sure they're stuck on, and with your fingertips just gently stroke the paste back and give it a little point. Okay, so that's 3. We miss 4 and we do 5. So you want 5 balls of paste. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as I say, if you don't like your rose at the end, you can just squidge it up and start again. So I'm going to roll these into nice balls of paste so they're nice and soft. And they're not going to all crack when I start to manipulate them in the bag. If your paste does start cracking, just give it a bit of a knead to activate the gum in it. Pop it in the bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then with this part of my hand again, I'm just going to push away from the centre. So it's important not to elongate the petals too much. You want to keep them round, because rose petals are pretty rounded. They're not long like a daisy petal. So try and keep them circular if you can. Just make sure that top edge is nice and fine. Open up your plastic pocket and lift them out onto your work table. 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then get your rose, and just one of your joins, you're going to stick that first petal over one of the joins. Take your next petal, overlap it one side of that first petal and bring it round, trying to keep the top level all the time. Third one, overlap the second and bring it round. Fourth one, overlap the third and bring it round. Fifth one, overlap the fourth but tuck it under the first, so it completes a circle all the way around the top. Squeeze it on at the base, so make sure it's attached, and then just with gently with your fingertip just stroke those top petals back and give them a little pinch. And to be honest, it doesn't matter if it rips a little bit, because nature isn't perfect and sometimes rose petals get a little bit of a rip in them. Squeeze it on at the base and then cup your hands like this underneath, so you get a nice rounded base to your rose. And then again with a pair of little scissors or with a knife, you can just chop your rose off. So we've now got 3 roses that we've made, and to go with our roses we're going to need 3 leaves. So I've got some paste here that I coloured green. Again, it's the same paste that was left over from covering the cake. I'm just going to knead it so make it nice and soft, and I want 3 leaves. Now these are quite big flowers, so I'm going to do quite big leaves. And this time I want 3 balls about the same sort of size for my leaves. That was a bit big, take a pinch off. Roll them in your hand so they're nice and smooth and you've not got any cracks or anything in them. Again, that's a little bit bigger. So I've got 3 little balls of paste. I'm going to pop them on my hand, and just with one finger on one side I'm going to rock it backwards and forwards so it becomes like a pear drop shape. You know, pear drop sweeties that you used to be able to buy? Flatten it down in your hand, and then take the back of a knife or a palette knife or a cocktail stick and just mark down the centre of the leaf. So you've got a line down the centre, and then with the knife, the back of the knife, I'm not cutting through it, I'm just marking in 2 little veins one side and 3 little veins the other side. I'm going to pick the leaf up by the fat bit again and give the point a bit of a twist. And I'm going to do that 3 more times. So I've got my ball of paste, roll it till it becomes a pear drop shape, and then flatten it. Take the back of a knife and just mark a vein down the centre. Mark 2 little lines down one side, 3 little lines down the other side. Pick it up with your hand and give it a bit of a twist. And then the same with the third one. One finger on the front of it to make it into a little bit of a pear shape. Flatten it down. Mark a centre line down the centre, 2 little lines down one side, 3 little lines down the other side. Pick it up by the fat bit and give the pointy bit a twist, just so you've got a bit of movement. Okay, then we want to bring our cake back in. So this is the cake I covered earlier. And I've got my 3 roses. So my 3 roses are going to go on top of my cake. 1, 2, 3. And they're starting to firm up now already. And then in between my roses, I'm going to put my leaves. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and there we have it. So you could just secure them to the top of your cake with a little bit of water. And that's how simple it is to make rose decorations without any cutters or any fancy tools at all. Now if you wanted to make matching cupcakes to go with your cake, I'll leave that there. If you wanted to make some matching cupcake decorations, what you could do is take a piece of the same coloured paste, and this is just going to make a little bud. Roll it into a ball, into a sausage, and I make these with the children quite a lot. So you open your fingers up and shape the 2 ends till it looks like a bit like a slug. You'll remember it this way. Pinch across the top so it becomes a dinosaur. And now again, if your hands are sticky, a little bit of corn flour on your fingertips, pinch it across the top there. Okay, it's a bit like a Cornish pasty now, or the children call it a dinosaur. Then starting at one end, just roll it up. Now the important thing is to keep the bottom level. Don't worry about the top, just keep the bottom levels. Pull it slightly and roll. Again, I've made this quite big so you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. Okay, so that's my little rosebud. And then I'd make 2 leaves exactly the same as the leaves I've just made for the big roses to go over side of it. So again, make 2 little balls. Make them into a pear drop shape and flatten them. And I made this big so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to do this on the table. I'm just going to mark down the centre with a centre vein on my leaves. Mark down the centre. 2 little lines one side, 3 little lines the other side. Give a little twist at the front, little twist at the front. This is a bit big, so I'm just going to thin it down. I've done it big so you can see it, but it's a bit too big. And then if you've got your cupcake, I'm going to use my upturned corn flour pot here to represent a cupcake. You can pop your little rose on there, your little rosebud, and 2 little leaves on your cupcake. And you've got cupcakes to match your birthday cake. So I hope you've enjoyed that demonstration. If you'd like to learn more, then pop along to the Sugarcraft Guild website and see if there's a local group in your area. Any local groups will have demonstrations like this once a month that you can pop along to and watch. Or if you join, there's lots of free videos and demonstrations on the website that you can tune into as well. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, don't be afraid to drop me an email or ask, and I'll be happy to help you if I can. Thank you for watching. Stay well, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.